Criminal defense attorney and Fox News contributor Josh Ritter joins me now. Josh, thank you so much for talking to us. All right, so let's start with the video. Erica Kirk's attorney, media outlets, they all want the entire video interview of Tyler Robinson's former lover and roommate Lance Twiggs to be made public for the world to see. Do you see any reason why it shouldn't be?
The preference is that it should be played. Listen, part of what makes our system great here in America is that it is an open system, that the courtroom is open. That includes the media. And so whatever is shown in court should be shown to the media and streamed live. There are some exceptions for graphic material, right? There are some things that they obviously want to protect the identity or the privacy of certain individuals. In this case, the redactions, the judge has explained that some of them are cumulative. In other words, that evidence is coming in a different way. That's fine. The others, he's saying that it's not relevant, and it's unclear to us as to what is the portions of that are not relevant. Where the real problem lies is that even with these redactions, we still have 20 minutes roughly of video that we should be able to see, but it's unclear whether or not the video itself will be shown or if only the audio will be for the public to view or hear. So there's where this line is being drawn that is unclear why that line is being drawn at all. One thing I will add to this, though, is that if this 20 minutes that remains is not information that is contained in those text messages or other communications we've already heard about, it could be new information, perhaps conversations that Lance Twiggs actually had with Robinson that didn't take place over text, which would be something new.
Okay, there are a host of crazy conspiracy theories that you know of course, around the killing of Charlie Kirk. Donald Trump Jr. was a close friend of Charlie's and has been attending the hearing this week, and he touched on those wild ideas here. Watch.
The defense sounded very weak. The defense's only real tactic was seemingly to either stall or try to not admit essentially any evidence whatsoever, because I guess it would be too damning to their client. It was truly crazy. But you see the video. They're able to identify the vehicle. They see him coming in early. He interacts with some Turning Point people, apparently asking them, you know, what was happening here, who were the speakers, what was the timing, whatever that may have been, it seems. He then leaves. But he's wearing shorts and a T-shirt. He comes back wearing long pants with a limp that magically somehow developed. Then there's ring cam footage of him pulling up again in this very distinct car at 12:30 a.m., again, on a university campus that he does not go to, lives 4 hours away. To me, that seems like he's there to retrieve the weapon that was stashed earlier in the day. You know, other minor details like, you know, he turned himself in and these kinds of things. I've taken a lot of heat from people because I haven't opined on a lot of the stuff that's been out there because I didn't know that any of it had any basis in fact. But once this hard evidence was laid out to me in a courtroom before my very eyes, and seeing the reaction of the defense, you know, this thing is much more cut and dry than I would have ever even imagined.
So how concerned should the prosecution be about all of this when it comes to selecting a jury?
I don't think there should be a concern. Listen, this is not the first time we've televised a court proceeding before. We're set up to handle this. We have the voir dire process. We have jury questionnaires. Quite frankly, we have a large pool of jurors to choose from. There may be some people who are familiar with this, but I am confident that they're going to be able to find jurors that have not made up their minds about all of this. So all of this hyper-fixation about how the media is portraying this and what they're putting out there to the public, I think is really overwrought. Really, the only concern right now should be, is there anything out there that's misinformation? Is there anything out there that's causing people to run wild with these conspiracy theories? Well, the way you solve that is you open up the courtroom and you let people see exactly what's taking place and exactly what the evidence is. Maybe in some certain instances you hold back some evidence because it might be overly prejudicial, but I don't think we've run across any of that now. And so I applaud the Kirk family and their attorneys' efforts to get all of this out there.
Okay, I want to talk about this whole use immunity thing, because a lot of people are confused as to why they would allow such a thing. Why would he not take the stand as a witness? And I'm talking about Lance Twiggs, the former roommate and romantic partner of Robinson's. So Lance Twiggs was basically given use immunity, it's called, for Twiggs' statements, meaning that a prosecutor has agreed not to use those statements against someone in a criminal case. But what if the prosecution, let's say, were to uncover evidence which could potentially connect him to the shooting? Is he immune to potential future charges as well? What does use immunity actually protect him from?
Great question. It would not protect him from that. What it protects him from is from them using his statements against him. But if they're able to find independent evidence of his involvement in this crime, they can absolutely bring charges if they wish to. They wanted to get his cooperation. They wanted to get Lance Twiggs to speak about what had been taking place. And the only way to do that was to grant him use immunity. Otherwise, he would have claimed Fifth Amendment protection and he would have kept his mouth shut. So in order to get him to speak, that was valuable. And it is going to play a cornerstone piece of evidence in this case. So they got him to speak. They granted him use immunity, but that does not take him off the hook. That is not a complete immunity. If there is something down the road that is exposed that he was far more involved than they were originally led to believe, they can absolutely bring charges.
Okay, so does this mean that at no point then he can be brought to the stand because he would be considered a key witness, but because he gave his video interview, does that exempt him from potentially taking the stand at any point during the trial?
No, entirely separate issues. They're using his interview here only for the prelim. They're allowed to use his interview at the prelim level, but at trial, he will be in court. They will subpoena him, they will bring him in, and he will testify live in court.
Josh Ritter, great stuff, very informational. Thank you very much for talking to us. We'll be, of course, watching this as it unfolds live in Provo, Utah. Thank you.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.